Devin, the Sierra hiker here, with a video on what I'm taking with me on my 7-day Tahoe Rim Trail backpacking trip. Now, maybe you're new to backpacking and you're not sure what to take with you. Well, a good place to start is checking out what other people take with them on their trips. And maybe you've been backpacking for a while and you do it on the regular. And you just want to see what other people have in their packs. That's cool, I do the same thing. This is what I would take with me on most of my backpacking trips. I put everything in my 40-liter backpack, which is a fairly small backpack. So I do a lot of lashing to the outside, and I hook things up with carabiners as well. Alright, let's get to it. So a lot of people like to go and backpack with tents, kind of standard, right? I don't like sleeping in a tent. I have a backpacking tent and all the gear that goes with that. I just don't like sleeping on the ground. No matter how many times I've used different air mattresses, it's not comfortable for me, and I sleep better in a hammock. So that's what I'm taking with me. This is my hammock system. The hammock I have is just a cheap nylon hammock I bought about 5 years back. It's still going strong, doesn't weigh much, and you don't have to spend a lot of money buying all this hammock stuff. And if you look online, it gets pricey fast. I do recommend, though, getting some tree straps. It makes setup and taking down so much easier. And that's what I have here. They just wrap around the tree and it takes about a minute to do it. I also have my bug net. Up in the Sierra Nevadas, we have some big mosquitoes. So you're going to want a bug net when you're sleeping. I also got my One Tigress underquilt. The One Tigress underquilt keeps it nice and warm. It'll turn your hammock into a sleeping bag. I also got my overquilt. This is just a camping quilt. It's not actually an overquilt for a hammock, but I use it like that, and it's super warm. It's just down, real light. I latch that to the outside of my pack. Now I also take this One Tigress, it's a Yukon Outfitters tarp with me too. And it's a diamond tarp. It folds out about twice the size it is now. If it's especially windy or rainy, I throw that up, and my hammock is not only a hammock, a sleeping bag, but it's also a tent. So that's something to keep in mind. And if also I'm hiking and camping, and there's no trees around me to put my tent up, I can use that for shelter. Moving on to my cooking stuff, I use this BioLite stove. Don't have to carry any fuel or anything with this. You put twigs in here, light the twigs. There's a fan that keeps it going nice and hot. And it'll also charge all your electronics too. Real cool item. I have my spoon, fork, knife, pot, cup, the rag I use to clean everything with, and a lighter, all in here. That's all I take for my cooking stuff. Obviously my food, which was done in another video, check out. I also bring these. They're wet wipes. At the end of the night, I like to clean my pits and bits. You should too. Hygiene is really important when you're backpacking. You don't want to neglect anything. I have my knife, which I carry on me, GoPro, and then this right here is really important. It's my water filter. If you're hiking in the Sierra Nevadas, backpacking in the Sierra Nevadas, you need a water filter. You have Giardia here. It will mess up all of you. You do not want to mess with Giardia. Use a good filter. This is a platypus one. You fill up a bag, hang it from a tree, use gravity to filter your water. I love it. At the end of the hiking trip, or the end of the day, I like to get out my boots and let my feet air out. So I bring these. These are hemp sandals I bought about 10 years ago. They're still going strong. I carabine them to the back of my pack. It's perfect. I have my spare clothes. I bring an extra set of spare clothes, then 2 extra sets of underwear, 2 sets of socks. Like I said, those areas, they get dirty and sweaty, and hygiene's really important, so you want to clean those out. I also wash my clothes halfway through the trip on the trail as well. I have my rain jacket, really important to bring in the Sierra Nevadas. The weather can change on me like that. This one time I was hiking up the upper Yosemite Falls, and it was midsummer, beautiful day. When I got to the falls, about an hour afterwards, it started downpouring. Thunder clouds rolled in, and I was stupid, didn't bring my rain stuff, and I got soaked. I was soaked to the bone when it was a summer day, and I got cold. So trust me, bring these if you're in the Sierra Nevadas. You might not need it, but if you do, you're going to want it. I have my down jacket, which also functions as my pillow. My tactical scarf. I use this because the sun hates me. I need to be covered or I burn crazy. I also use this as a towel when I jump into the lakes and I want to dry off. And it could also function as a pillow or, a sling if you wanted to. Belt, my toilet stuff, and trowel and toilet paper. Headlamp. And then my first aid kit, which is essential. If you're backpacking or hiking, always bring a first aid kit. I'm not a fan of pre-made ones you buy off the shelf. I wouldn't recommend those. You put what you're going to use in your own first aid kit. Be familiar with the stuff that's going in there and how to use it. I'm an EMT. I've worked on the ambulance for over 5 years. And I'm familiar with everything that's in my first aid kit and how to use it. And we'll go over this on a later video. Bug spray, and then a second bug net, but this one's for my head. Never thought I would buy one of these, but I was backpacking at the Devil's Bathtub one time with a buddy of mine. He had one, and I didn't. And my face got eaten up by mosquitoes, just destroyed. And it kind of made the trip a little miserable for me. So I went out and bought this, and now I love it. Don't diss it till you get lumpy face. Sunblock. You're up in high elevation sometimes. You're going to want this. I definitely need it. This is 50, SPF 50 because the sun, like I said, hates me. Some lip balm or chapstick. You're hiking up there, you're breathing out of your mouth when it gets really hot. When it's really hot or really cold, your lips chap. This is perfect for that. You want to make sure that you get it on there. Other things chap too. This can be pulled off on your finger, rub it on your chapped foot, your hand. Works great. Here we have my trail book, pen, compass, and map. The trail book is extremely important. You need to bring it with you. What I like to do is, before I leave, like on this trip, the Tahoe Rim Trail trip, I checked out this book right here, the guide to the Tahoe Rim Trail. I took down all the important information that I need to know, like where the water sources are, the high elevation days, where the closest roads are and ranger stations, things like that. I transferred it into my trail book. So I don't have to take this one. I also like to identify things in nature. Here's a field guide. This thing's heavy. It's bulky. I don't want to take it with me. So before I go, I check out what's going to be in that area most likely. I'll do a few sketches, write a few notes down, and don't have to take this now. If you're new to backpacking, there's a lot of knots you should know. Maybe you've been practicing your knots. That's good, but you're afraid you might forget it. Draw your knots in here. That way, you have it. One book, right? You don't need a bunch of them. If you're not too familiar with first aid, take some first aid notes from a book, write it down here, do a few sketches. You shouldn't have to take this as well. Maybe you like to read for inspiration while you're on the trail. That's cool. You shouldn't have to take a bunch of stuff. If you have like a favorite nature poem or poet you like, or little quotes from writers, you could transfer them into your book too for inspiration. You don't have to take a separate book. You don't want to carry more than you have to. Now my trekking poles. So the trekking poles I use were in a pack with my snowshoes. I didn't go out and buy separate trekking poles. So, trekking poles are trekking poles, hiking sticks are hiking sticks. I use a hiking stick sometimes I use a trekking pole. I don't get too technical with it. This is just what I have right here. I use them with gloves because after a while you'll get these big blisters and the skin will wear away and hot spots where it rubs. So definitely using gloves helps minimize that. I recommend that. And the areas that I'm going to be backpacking through, some of them still have some snow. Some of them have ice too. So I'm bringing these baskets to put on the end of my trekking poles so they don't sink all the way to the ground. Not something I normally bring though. I'll also be bringing some crampons for my feet to help me from slipping in the ice. That's also not a usual item for me. And then of course I have my hat and my sunglasses. Now with the hat, you know, a baseball cap works great, but what about the back of your neck and your ears? You're going to burn. You're in high altitude. You're really exposed sometimes. So I like to bring a hat that has a brim all the way around it. Plus, it just looks like you're hiking when you're wearing a hat like this. Well, that's the gear I bring with me. Let me know in the comments what gear you like to bring, or you know what you think I should also add or take out. Don't forget to hit subscribe as well. Thank you. Good hiking.